If you're a creative entrepreneur trying to turn your passion into profit, you're in the right place. Hey Royalty fam, if you've been following my journey, you already know that earlier this year, I went all in my creative business. I shared that moment in part 1, and then in part 2, I opened up about what happened next. Burnout, overwhelmed, and that deep question, did I do the right thing? Today, we're talking about the bounce back. Not some miracle overnight shift, but the slow, intentional rebuild. The version of my business that prioritizes boundaries, balance, and most importantly, believing in myself. Even when things get quiet. This one is for the creatives, the overthinkers, the tired but determined builders. I see you and I got you. I used to chase every opportunity thinking if I said no, the moment would pass me by. But the more I piled on, orders, being a solo parent, content, launches, the less present I became. I was showing up everywhere, but not fully showing up for myself. And then it hit me. You can't pour from an empty cup. And I was bone dry. You know, sometimes we glamorize burnout because it looks productive, but it's not sustainable. I knew something had to change when I finished a product launch, and I didn't even feel proud. I just felt tired. At first, setting boundaries felt like sabotage. Like I was cutting off my momentum, but in reality, I was actually creating protection. I started small, turning off my phone after 7 p.m., not answering emails on weekends, saying not right now without over explaining. What surprised me most was how the world didn't fall apart. In fact, I got better clients, better sleep, and better ideas. Boundaries didn't just protect my energy, it preserved my creativity. And even though that may not sound revolutionary, but for creative like us, those small boundaries are everything. Because here's the truth. When your business lives on your phone, it can follow you everywhere, like everywhere. Everything, every din, every message, every like, every DM, it becomes another silent expectation to be on. And I realized I had trained my nervous system to be in work mode 24/7. And when you're always on, guess what? Your creativity, it burns out very quickly. Turning off my phone after 7 wasn't about rebellious. It was about reclaiming my peace. I wasn't available to everyone. I was becoming available just to myself. Not answering emails on weekends reminded me that rest is a part of the workflow, not reward for burning out. It also trained my clients and my customers to respect that I am human first before my brand. And let's talk about saying not right now without over explaining, because that's something I still need to work on. Cause that one right there, working on that was one of the best things I could have ever done for myself. I mean, I used to write paragraphs defending why I couldn't take something on. I was afraid people would think I was lazy, ungrateful. I was afraid of them misunderstanding me. And even worse, I was afraid of falling behind. And then over time, I realized that boundaries don't require justification. Your peace is a valid reason. Your energy is a valid reason. Saying not right now, that taught me that honoring my bandwidth doesn't make me unprofessional. It makes me sustainable. And you know what? What started as a small change became sacred rituals that kept me from spiraling back into burnout. I mean, when you think about it, balance isn't this perfect static thing we reach. It's a rhythm, and sometimes I'm very offbeat, but I've learned to dance with that instead of fighting against it. Some days are heavy on admin, others I'm purely in flow, designing, creating, just vibing, and then there are days I need to shut it all down and remember I am a person before I am a brand. Learning to listen to myself instead of forcing productivity changed everything. And that's the kind of balance I want. One that bends with me and not breaks me. The quiet seasons used to scare me a lot. When sales dip or content didn't perform, trust me, I started to question everything. But here's the true thing. Growth isn't always loud, and it took some time to realize that. Sometimes the most powerful shifts happen in silence. And I began to, ask the right questions like, what if this quiet is a setup for clarity? And that shift in mindset helped me detach my self-worth from social proof. I don't need the likes to validate the love I have for this work. And now I trust that even if the room feels empty, the right people always are watching. And more importantly, I'm watching myself show up. And at the end of the day, nothing beats that. I think one of the major things that I've learned so far is there's power in pausing and asking, what's actually working? So instead of trying to do all the things, I picked the things that move the needle. So that means I started to focus on evergreen content, I automate where I can, and I reuse ideas across my platforms. And when I batch, I kid you not, I get my life back. And that breath of room is priceless. Now I realize that I don't need to be chasing every idea. I'm not curating a strategy that feels right for my energy. And that shift, that changed everything. Because when you're a creative entrepreneur, it's so easy to get caught up in the hamster wheel. Doing more than just to keep up. More posts, more products, more platforms, more launches. And before you know it, you're exhausted, overwhelmed, and still not seeing the growth you were hoping for. So I had to ask myself, what actually moves the needle? What creates long-term value? Not just short-term dopamine. And that's why I started focusing on evergreen content, videos, blog posts, tutorials, anything that will work for me while I sleep. So instead of chasing trends, I create content that people can discover a week, a month, even a year from now. That means my time investment keeps paying off. And mind you, nothing is wrong with trends because you can use trends to your advantage. And then all of this made me look at where I was and what was the things that was wasting my time. And that's where automation came in for me. I automated my email sequences, I scheduled my social content, and I used templates instead of starting from scratch. I'm still the heart of my brand, but now I don't have to be the hamster powering it. And finally, I gave myself permission to reuse ideas. Not every post has to be brand new. One idea can turn into a YouTube video, it can turn into a blog post, a quote card, a short, a reel, a newsletter. I stopped overcomplicating content and started maximizing it, and you should as well. Because the goal isn't to do everything, it's to do the right things consistently, calmly, and with confidence. And that's what truly moves the needle. You know what I realized? The older I get in this business, the more I realize I'm not chasing viral anymore. I'm chasing vital. Not to mention that soft success looks so much more different for me. Soft success is getting 8 hours of sleep, saying, I'm done for today without guilt. Hearing from one customer who felt seen. It's walking into your workspace without anxiety. It's letting your business breathe without needing to control every part. Let me go a little bit further into it. So long, we're only taught to celebrate the loud wins, the big launches, the sold out drops, the viral moments. And while those are incredible, I found that real sustainable fulfillment is often found in the quiet moments. The soft ones. Soft success is getting 8 hours of sleep and realizing that rest is productive. Not just because it recharges your energy, but because it recenters your creativity. When you're rested, you make better decisions. You show up present. You create from a place of overflow, not exhaustion. Very powerful. Soft success is saying, I'm done for today without guilt. Not because you finished everything, but because you honored your limits. You trusted that what you did today was more than enough. You didn't tie your worth to how long you worked or how much you produced, because that kind of pace, that's not freedom. And now, this is. And you know what else soft success is? It's hearing from just one customer who felt seen. One person who says, this product reminded me of myself. One person who also says, your words helped me to keep going. We often chase mass validation, but soft success reminds us that impact is not always loud. Sometimes it's in the quiet thank you messages, the silent knobs, the one sale that had a story behind it. Soft success doesn't scream, it doesn't go viral, but it nourishes your soul in a way numbers could never. And honestly, that's the kind of success I'm rebuilding around here. Softer, slower, but still powerful. Because soft success is sustainable, it's sweet, and most importantly, it's mine. So listen, if you're in that messy middle rebuilding after the crash, I hope this comforts you. You didn't get it wrong. You just outgrew the version of hustle that used to work. The rebuild isn't the downfall, it's the restart, the realignment. Let yourself dream differently now. Make softer goals. Choose joy over optics. You're not too late, you're not too small, you're simply becoming. And that's where I am. Rebuilding with boundaries, balance, and belief. It's not perfect, but it's peaceful. And if you're somewhere on this same path, just know you're not alone. If you missed how this all started, go back and watch part 1 where I shared exactly what happened when I went all in on my creative business. And if burnout hit you harder than you expected, part 2 is where I opened up about the shift, the real difference between breaking down and breaking through. I'll link both right here on the screen and down in the description. Keep dreaming, stay soft, and let's build the life we love. I'll catch you later, Novelty fam.